Check. 1, 2. We're here. We're live.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can. We're all good.
Cool. We're live.
Beyond Disclosure 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. I like it. The second episode. Better than the first. We hope.
We hope.
Let's give it a good crack.
Yep.
Yeah. Got some interesting things to talk about tonight. I think the first thing is probably the biggest piece of news in just disclosure, and that's just the Shellenberger Report that came out, was it last week sometime, that's just shedding a bit more light and on the situation, and just keeping that momentum going in the right direction too.
Well, and in case, a lot of people probably haven't heard of Shellenberger in these sort of circles, he's done some really good work recently, but traditionally hasn't really been a sort of UFO, UAP sort of guy. I think he's done a lot of environmental sort of reporting. But he seems to be digging his teeth into this one, so it's good. And I mean, across the board, I mean, obviously there's a lot of people who don't like him, but I think most people respect him, and he does pretty good journalism. So, and it's a cracker of a report. I don't know. Have you got the link there to put up?
Yeah. I'll bring it up in a second. I'll bring it up in a second. How did it
wasn't just him, and that's something else to just quickly note. I do believe it was 3 people involved: Shellenberger, Andrew Mohar, and Phoebe Smith. So, there's a bit of a team working there as well.
Being an environmental journalist, do you think he got into it because of the energy implications?
I feel like, because I've seen a few interviews with him, he's been around, he's done a couple of pretty decent articles and done some good interviews. And I definitely think that is one of the avenues that he's coming at this from. Even if he doesn't say it out loud, there's definitely some implications in there, I think.
Yeah. I imagine maybe that's how he got into it. I don't know.
Yeah. Look, I imagine he's a pretty well-connected dude. So,
yeah. And then, I'll show that report in a minute, but I just wanted to say also tonight we're gonna talk a bit about USOs.
Unidentified merged objects.
Yeah.
If anyone doesn't know what that means, and the Bermuda Triangle, we're bringing it back.
We decided it's too good to not bring back. It's
been
classic.
Too long.
It's been in hiding too long, and it's relevant. We think it's relevant.
Absolutely, at the moment.
We're going to talk about it. There's a few other subjects. I wanted to talk a bit about the Netflix series.
I haven't actually caught that yet. I definitely will have to catch up on that. But you've seen a few, you said?
Yeah, I've seen all of them now. Yeah, I've seen all of them now. Yeah, all of it. There's just 4 episodes.
Are they doing more? Do you know?
I haven't. It didn't say when I was watching it. It didn't say season 1 or anything. It was just
okay.
Limited series.
Yeah.
So I got the feeling that there's maybe not going to be any more, but maybe not.
Oh, look, maybe if that studio is tackled that sort of area of interest, maybe there'll be tangential things that come out of that. Hopefully.
Yeah. So,
and obviously Spielberg's always had an interest in that stuff. He made E.T. for God's sake. So,
yeah, E.T. Talk about, isn't it crazy, the resemblance of the?
If you want to make that segue, yeah, okay.
Well, we might talk about the mummies again because it's still hanging in the air.
It is.
There's
new
mummies
stuff coming out all the time about it.
Yeah, which seem to gently keeps leaning more towards this is something to pay attention to. It's worth. We need to keep looking at it.
Absolutely. I'd love for Nolan to take a look at it.
Yeah.
Because of I don't remember if you know with the Stephen Greer thing, and he had that little alien body, and basically Gary Nolan was who got involved, and his initial analysis was, yep, not sure what it is. His later analysis, yep, it's human, and Greer obviously spun it in a way in that movie that it was like, oh yeah, we don't know what it is. Oh look, it's an alien, but it turned out not to be so far. But get someone of his credibility to look at it,
Yeah.
and it'd be a foregone conclusion.
Yeah. I think hopefully he gets interested, because I did see when it all first came out in the Mexican Congress, I did see him make a Twitter comment that was, it basically wasn't, he was saying, I'm not disregarding it, but, and then I think he threw a link to there was a YouTube video talking about the other discoveries that were a compilation of different bones manufactured into some thing. So yeah, I think he was skeptical. Maybe he's had a bit more of a look at it now, and maybe he's getting interested.
Hopefully, we'll see.
Yeah.
Because the more credible people that can be involved. Look, if it turns out that it's utter BS, then the sooner it gets properly debunked, the better. We can move on with our day.
Yeah, but the last, maybe we'll come back around to it.
All right.
And we'll look at do you want me to bring up the Shellenberger report?
Yeah. Let's go through that first, because that's got a lot of good stuff in it.
All right.
In fact, can we work backwards from it? Because I think the very last paragraph, let's dive straight into the juicy stuff. The very last paragraph is kind of where it's at, and what kind of came to light.
Well, I'll just read the heading, and then we'll go down. Yes, dozens of government UFO whistleblowers have given testimony to Congress, Pentagon, and inspectors general, say sources. And despite the growing number of UFO UAP whistleblowers, the military and the intelligence communities are fighting greater disclosure.
Well, and that's part of what Grush said. Don't forget, like it mentions that in this last paragraph, that the disinformation operation is a big part of it.
Yes, and yeah, it's they've done a very good job too. That's their game, right? I think it's the biggest tool in the toolbox for
absolutely,
for intelligence is disinformation, and
it's not just intelligence; it's the DoD. They have their own intelligence branches, They what is it? The Pentagon have never passed an audit.
No.
So, of all the times that they've been audited, which isn't even that many times, they've never passed one. There's billions missing, and obviously they're not going to say that. We've got $10 billion working against the American or world population.
Yeah. Do you want to? Should we read this?
But go ahead and read that last paragraph, because it's
all
a
right.
good
So
one.
this was pretty climactic or whatever. Testimony has included both first-hand and second-hand reports of crash retrieval and reverse engineering programs by US, Russian, and Chinese governments.
As you would think.
The testing of materials obtained from retrieved craft, active and ongoing government disinformation operations, kinetic military action with UAPs. I wasn't sure what that actually meant.
That means bullets and missiles.
Right.
So like shooting down situations, and one day we will talk about that Welsh situation.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's a crazy story. I can't even remember the name of that at the moment, but we both looked at that case, and it was impressive accounts.
Yeah, that's very full on.
Yeah. Now, yeah, like this is where people get stretched
And
when
that's,
we're
I
talking
think,
about, how
I
far can you?
understand. I understand that. And that's maybe a good point to sort of bring up the idea that we've been toying around with about, where do you place each one of these claims in, like, what percentage would you give them likely to be true?
Yeah,
So, I mean, reading that first line, uh, crash retrievals and reverse engineering by all three major players. Yeah, I think that's probably pretty likely. The testing of materials, yeah, absolutely. Retrieve
yes,
craft, yep, yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Um,
and
but then,
and
yeah,
then
when you get
then you
down
jump
to
to this. Then it's contact and collaboration with non-human intelligence (NHIs).
making deals,
That's now you've got to take another bigger leap,
yeah.
um, in
So
trying
that's
to
where
accept.
I think, yeah, you drop down 20%, well, 30%, or 40%. Maybe you're only 60% sure that is what the case is.
Mm,
Maybe that's a 50-50. Maybe it's less.
yeah,
But it seems to keep coming up. I mean, Grush, I don't know if he ever directly said it, but he definitely heavily implied it.
yeah.
And Shellenberger, obviously now, and Ross have said similar things
Could
from
you
independent sources, not just from David Grush.
could you imagine that if we had a first-hand whistleblower come forward and say, I I was part of negotiations with non-human intelligence.
Well,
Well,
I'm sure I've read somewhere that the part of the dozens, we've read 30 to 50, and that's somewhere else in the article, of whistleblowers, part of their evidence was video of negotiations.
mm, yeah,
So who knows?
that's
If that came out, I think that would rock the world, and that'd be like a slam dunk,
yeah,
especially if it was backed by any kind of official source.
yeah,
Navy comes out and says, "Yep, here we go. Here's our intelligence officers meeting with Black Tsar the Great."
yeah. Blacks are the great. Uh, yeah, but it's it's sounding more and more likely that
Mm.
that's what's happened.
Well, and at least there's some kind of biologics, because the biologics, the term biologics and NHI keep coming up.
Yep.
So I don't. I think it's like as reasonably significant change from UFO to UAP. There's something there.
Mm. Yes. And then finally, the successful reverse engineering of a triangle-shaped craft with unconventional propulsion.
Project Aurora.
Yeah, is that one name for it?
I
Project
think that
Aurora?
was the name I remember from the mid '90s. They did a whole episode of it, or several episodes of it, in the X Files.
Yeah, yeah.
And everyone. Well, apparently, who's the guy who made the X Files? Chris, whatever his name was. He talked to a lot of military, CIA, secret program people when writing the X Files.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Yeah,
he had
they all get some inside information before
yeah,
making those shows.
and again, if we're going to talk about the Netflix encounters thing a bit later, Spielberg did as well, apparently.
Yeah, yeah. For both ET and Encounters of the Third Kind, wasn't it?
Encounters of the Third Kind was the big one, because there was always that where Jacques Vallée was the inspiration for the French scientist in that film.
Yeah. The trial craft, yeah, it's also known as the TR-3B, I think.
Yes. Yeah, you're right.
Is a model name. And these have been reported for a long time. I'm trying to
Decades.
remember. Yeah, the biggest, most popular incident with these was in Belgium, the Belgium UFO wave.
Okay, yep.
Oh, I think it was the 80s. I can't remember exactly. I'll stop sharing this for a sec. And yeah, the Belgian government chased these triangle craft for days. And then they actually started a government program to try and combat these triangle craft that were wreaking havoc around Belgium. And there's some pretty good photos, I think, as good as UFO photos get of these triangle craft.
Well, I know there's been a fair bit of information come out from Belgium. Like there's certain nations around the world that seem to be a little bit of ahead. You know, France, Mexico, obviously US is one of the major playgrounds. Look, there's some Australian reports. There's great reports out of Iran. Yeah, there are other players, but not every country is as forthcoming. But it seems there are a lot of other countries other than the US that have some great reports and reporting on it.
Yeah, I'm just I'll bring up the Belgian UFO wave. It happened 89 from November 89 into, I think it said April 1990. So it went on for months. Yeah, and that's one of the famous photos there.
Well, and that's a classic. Like when you watch that X-Files episode, that is you almost see something like that. So I wonder if Chris, what's his name?
Oh, what's this say? Claimed hoax photographs. Famous.
I was going to say it's almost like what he put on the screen.
Yeah. So, but that all really happened, and I forget the name of the program. They might say it here, but yeah, these have been around since the 80s, late 80s.
Chris Carter, by the way.
So we've had that. If they are ours, we've had that technology for 30 odd years. So
yeah, but then who knows? Because I was watching another thing on Project Paperclip, or Operation Paperclip, sorry, and yeah, I mean, it could have honestly been since the Nazi Bell, the modern UFO engineering program was probably since the Nazi Bell, and the other crazy revelation was the Italian UFO retrieval through the church. And was it Mussolini?
That's what David Grush said. But he knew it as the first retrieval in 1940 something. Mussolini.
Yeah, so it predates Roswell by a good decade, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think actually there's in one of those Netflix Encounter series, there's a Japanese guy that has records of a retrieval from 1800.
Oh wow!
And yeah, I can't reference what it was called, but there's a lot of old documents that have drawings that all look the same, of this craft that apparently washed up on the beach, I think. Yeah, but that was in the Netflix series.
Yeah,
so
I'll have to catch up on that.
So yeah, we'll go back to that. We'll go back to the Shellenberger report. I'll bring it up again. And because it's pretty brief, easy to read.
Yeah, but it isn't long, and there's a lot. It's very dense with information.
And you can find this if you want to find this, people. public.substack.com is where it's at. But I think the big, like the key to the story is pretty much this, and that's at least 30 whistleblowers, and that there's reports of up to 50, maybe.
Yeah, the numbers are going from 30 to 50. I'm sure I heard several moons ago it was 44, was somewhat of a specific number. And I thought, I don't know why I remember that, but then this comes out and then it's, okay, 44 is a number in between 30 and 50.
Yeah.
Either way, I think anything over 20 is pretty significant. When they're saying dozens, you've got to think at least 24 to 36.
Yep.
And they're talking first-hand accounts. If you go back to that last paragraph, that's what they're testifying to, is the reverse engineering, the disinformation program, the deals with NHI. It's all the gold stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know,
when
did
you've
you
got
end up,
when
did
you've
you
got
end up
that many
finishing that Jesse Michaels thing?
No, I only got halfway through it. So
Because it makes a good point, and that there's, within the next 2 years, there's a lot coming through the pipe, apparently.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I did just watch the interview with Ross Coulthart and Neil Mitchell on
Yep,
3 Melbourne 3AW. That's another good one to watch if people want to watch more Ross Coulthart, because everyone's always interested to hear what he says, and I still get mixed mixed messages from what he says, because he clearly says at the start of that interview, when Neil Mitchell asks him what's happening, when what's going to happen with this story, and he says it's within 12 to 18 months. I believe that this is all going to be, whatever David Grush has said is going to be vilified and confirmed.
Yeah.
But then he'll also say, but I'm worried that it'll all be put back in a box for another 50 years and we won't. So I do get sort of confused when he does that.
Yeah, look, I can easily see cases for both. There's plenty of analogies going around. It's like, you can't put you can't get half pregnant. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. But sometimes you can, and that can happen.
Yeah. Well, look at
the people do need to push. I mean, I think, I just wanted to come and be a part of this podcast just because, we do need to talk about this more. If we want movement on this kind of thing, then we do need some action. And there seems to be some insiders and politicians that want the same thing. So I think that's what partially why we are here.
Yeah, that's right. And it's all, we are getting momentum. I might just share something else. And that is just another tweet I found from the Amazing People podcast. So many whistleblowers are coming forward now. This is undeniable. Ross Coulthart and James Fox have spoken with further whistleblowers, and I trust their judgment. David Grush is saying the same thing. Congress people are saying the same thing. Reporters are saying the same thing. This is clearly happening, unless all these people are lying for no reason, which they clearly aren't. The fact that 40 whistleblowers in different areas of the US government and from aerospace companies are talking about reverse engineering programs means the likeliness of non-human intelligence interacting with our planet is more than plausible. I believe the dam is breaking. It's just a matter of time. So from a macro perspective, like this is it's just all the little pieces all coming together, all just rolling forward together.
I think there will need to be to capture the public's imagination, because we're involved in this where it can be a bit of an echo chamber, but I think it's leaking out into the public. Like, there's bits and pieces, and there still might be snickering and snide remarks, but there's bits and pieces coming out that are becoming indisputable. I think, and that probably started in 2017 with the article and the admission by the Pentagon and the government that the 3 videos that were released were real, and they didn't know what we were, and they showed properties which they shouldn't be able to show, despite what Mick West says. And so it's you're right. It's a step-by-step process. We're getting there, but we might be building a head of steam, as it were, because there's some good people involved as well.
That's right. There's some heroes out there involved in this.
Absolutely.
Some people are just like they're putting it all out there. They're risking everything to bring this to light, which is.
And I think the 3 guys from the hearing, you got to straight away the big hats off to those guys. Grush, Fravor, and Graves. Graves?
Yeah.
Gates?
Graves. Yeah.
Full on. Exactly.
Yep.
And I wish I could remember the name, and I hope they still come forward eventually at some point. The NASA guy who was supposed to be a part of that. So
yeah. Well, hopefully he's in this
big ups to Ross too. Love that Aussie bastard.
Ross, the journalist again.
Yeah. Michael Shellenberger. Even if you don't agree with his politics, he is doing excellent work in this field.
Yeah. And old mate, forgetting his name's pushing the agenda in the Congress.
Tim Burchett.
Tim Burchett.
Absolutely. I think he's probably. I used to be into politics, and I've removed myself because it's been so disheartening for the last 20 years. But I found Tim Burchett through the UAP disclosure stuff, and I've followed him a little bit, and I've got to say he's seems like a stand-up dude. I wouldn't agree with all of his political views, but he seems to actually be wanting the best for people, which is kind of nice. And actually interested in this issue, which is even better. And you can run the names like, Luna, Gates, Burchett, AOC, totally impressed with her dealing with this. Wolf, Moskowitz, Schumer. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of. And unfortunately, I mainly only know the American names. I couldn't tell you one Australian who is a politician who is interested in this.
We should try and find out.
I was going to say, you might be able to send Jackie Lambie an information pack, and she might get interested in it, but who knows? She's a loose cannon.
She's a UFO type.
She could be. I think she possibly could be.
Yeah.
She's just unhinged enough.
Yeah. I guess what I'm trying to say too is with this tweet, and why I like it is, and what you said about putting the sauce back in the bottle, or however you want to word it.
Yeah.
The more this keeps rolling forward like this a little bit, the harder it is for it to go back in. So, as each little turn happens. Yeah. And I think I do think we're on a precipice, like we're on the edge of a new truth to it. How do you think this is going to happen? If you had to take a bet.
If I just say how it's going to happen or what's going to be okay, so how it's going to happen.
It's a hard question. So
it is a very hard question, but I would say at a best guess, I would think we are probably going to be along the road of a very controlled disclosure over the next 5 years, say at a maximum. There seems a very weird time time limit on this, and that's not from one source. There's many sources where there's a weird time limit on it, and I've got my own theories on that, but we can talk about that later. But yeah, I think there's probably going to be a release of a certain amount of information. Probably not all the information. They'll have to find a spot where they can disclose up to and make it stop there. And I don't know where that spot is. That spot might be, yes, there are, because they keep using non-human intelligence. I've before they started all that language, I would have said they'll disclose extraterrestrials. Maybe there's been a lot of extraterrestrial involvement in the solar system, but that's 50 million years ago and it's nothing now. And then we can go and explore that later. We found some relics, and we've got a crashed retrieval or two, but we don't know what we're doing with it. That would be my guess at what they would want to release.
Yeah.
Except that there are things like triangle craft, which seem like we have at least reversed engineered some things, deals with NHI. So, who knows what that's all about? Is the mutilation phenomena involved in that somehow? Is the abduction phenomena involved in that somehow? Yeah, it gets really murky once you get down into the weed.
That's right. I think that's what makes it really difficult. And I think it was Bryce Zabel said on the Need to Know last podcast, he said, is like one of the things that they're struggling with this is just too fucking weird. Like, how are we going to tell people? Like, once we tell them, give them one bit, everything else starts coming. Like, you can't. There's thousands of abduction cases. That there's so many. Once you say, okay, there's a non-human intelligence engaging with this planet, these guys are all going, yes, this is our time. Tell us about the abductions. You can't not have the two separate.
And it could be really, really dark. And I think that's probably why one of the reasons they're really scared about bringing anything out. It's like, you look at the mutilation phenomenon alone. I mean, that is absolutely something. Either there's some kind of genetic experiments being done by NHI on terrestrial animals, including humans and a lot of different mammals, or there is a bunch of medical students driving around in the middle of the night with really high-level technical equipment, performing mutilation pranks on multiple animals in one night in a certain region. That's just... So what's more likely to be? Like, is that actually more likely? That's not more likely to me. People want to apply Occam's razor to something. The medical student with laser technology driving around in a pickup truck is less likely to me.
Yeah. Sorry, my signal cut out for a second, so I missed a bit of what you said. I'm not sure if this kept going, but it's all that stuff comes along with it. Has to come along with disclosure, and that might be one of the real challenges. I was just thinking too, we should move on to USOs and whatever in a minute.
Yeah, well, we did want to get to that, and I talked a little bit about that last episode, but you're right.
I was just wondering though, with disclosure, actually, because those Chinese balloons that got shot down at the beginning of the year, apparently the US government said they would release an official story, but they haven't yet. So I'm just wondering if this could be some event that sort of, it was exciting at the time, Chinese spy balloons, and there was all of this vagueness and mystery around it, very mysterious, and then some things were shot down, and nothing to see here. We'll tell you more later.
I think look, there was 3 incidents, right? I think from memory, one of them was just nothing special, and two of them, grapevine, there was possibly something more going on. But it was over a mountain range. It was really hard for anyone to be there to see stuff. So you're only going to get classified information. So yeah, who knows with those three things? And perfect opportunity of what was going on around that time. Undoubtedly, there was something that needed to be beaten up. Maybe China was getting a bit too sassy for their pants.
Yeah. Oh well. Let's talk about
USOs. Let's jump in.
Yeah. How are we going to start this? I can't remember.
Well, well, let's go to the 4chan. Let's bring up the 4chan leak, because we've been meaning to talk about this for a little while. It's out. It's been out for a while.
We do have some comments as well. We've been missing.
Oh, okay. Oh, geez.
Harry Bridges, thanks for watching. He's got some information for Senator Wilson has raised issues about UAP in Senate estimates. Has Wilson? He's Australian, is he?
Well, that would be awesome, and I will actually look that up. If he is Australian, Wish Wilson or
Senator Peter Wish Wilson. It's Wish with a WH. Yeah.
Anyway, I did want to say that we will look in. We're looking at generally doing about an hour-long episode, but also at the end, question and answer sort of thing. So we can do that, for at least half an hour.
Yeah,
and see how we go. So if you do have any questions, chuck them in the comments. We'll get to them at the end of the podcast. Okay, so let's pause on the comments. Do you want to jump into the USO stuff?
Yes.
And bring up the 4chan leak.
I don't have that.
Hang on, I will shoot it. I will get it to you right now.
Yeah, right, so we're going to look at the 4chan leak. Lem, you've read most of it, haven't you? Or all of it?
I've read the whole thing. And look, it's pretty interesting. I
haven't read it, but I've watched someone else's YouTube video on it, and I've got the general gist. But
yeah, I'll if you want to chuck it up, I can sort of walk through it, because you'll get the main gist of it is on the very first page.
And so let's summarize the gist.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the gist. He's a guy, intimate knowledge. You can read that, but UAPs, UFOs, whichever you want to call them. Let's just stick with UFOs because it's easier. UFOs are primarily unmanned drones, the ones we're seeing. They are built to spec each time they are deployed. Now, if you don't know what built to spec means, like they're specifically built for a specific purpose, a specification. UFOs are created by a mobile construction facility that hides in the ocean. That's an important one. We'll come back to that. Construction facilities destroy anything that comes close to it and will disappear for days when approached aggressively. We will also come back to that. US believes the facility has been active on Earth for at least 100 years or much longer. Fire away with the question. So let's just stick with that first.
And sorry, just who is the 4chan whistleblower meant to be?
Someone who has worked on monitoring this particular UAP, which
so they're
a USO. I guess
they're a first-hand insider in the legacy program. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I think that they're probably a military person. They're probably in reconnaissance, or perhaps intelligence.
Yeah.
And then it's actually been it's been a minute since I've read the whole thing. They might mention that later on down, But I think the important takeaways here are the UFOs are created in a mobile construction facility. So this is where I really wanted to dig into with the USOs, because later on, about 2 or 3 pages down, he says that this facility, this thing that's been there for at least 100 years, but they speculate much longer, has been located sort of within the area of the Bermuda Triangle. So, I really like. Well, I really like them, and it's horrific. The facility destroys anything that comes close to it. So all these missing things that have been in the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah,
Maybe they just came across this thing.
Yeah, you
Maybe they
got too
accidentally
close.
rolled up too close, and they just got vaporized because hey, we're not letting these humans know that we're here just yet.
Yeah, or
And
maybe it's just
easily.
maybe it's opportunistic as well. Maybe it's just bored out there in the Bermuda Triangle, and a plane goes past, and it's like, bang.
Well,
I'll take
I
you
just
out.
think they're there for. I think all UAP in the areas that there are for electromagnetic reasons. Like it's more conducive for their ships to be in this spot than to be in another spot. And the Bermuda Triangle has clearly got some crazy electromagnetic stuff going on. And I think it's either as a result of this thing being there, or that thing is there because that's the sweet spot on Earth for it to be. And they know how to tap into it, but when our electronics interact with it, they just go haywire.
Yeah, that could be possible. Maybe it just hangs out in the one place because that's where it needs to be.
And look, this is a 4chan, hugely speculative. This guy could be crazy. Who knows? Except one, let's bring back the Bermuda Triangle, because he does actually mention that, as I said, a couple of pages down, that comes into it, and it's pretty interesting. But two, let's skip over now to the Richard Dolan video that I was talking to about earlier, about USOs, unidentified submerged objects, whatever you want to call them, UAP underwater. And
so this is it. Do you want some volume?
He's made a map of the hotspots of all where the UAP are. Most, I think 99% of them are all military based. And if you skip forward to 737, you'll sort of zoom in on
737. I don't think he's zooming.
Actually, no, that's it. Sorry. Yeah, it's showing the Bermuda Triangle.
Is the zoom. There. Yeah, this is a Bermuda Triangle
marked
here.
Yeah, and you'll see that if you basically know where the Bermuda Triangle is, and I think it goes down to
there's Florida.
Anyway, you can look it up.
There's Florida there. Just in the top left corner of the screen. So we're just off the southeast coast of USA.
Yeah. So basically, in the two bottom corners of the triangle is where all the USO activity is happening.
Oh, yes.
Especially down around Puerto Rico.
This is the bottom of the triangle, is it? One of the corners?
Basically down there, yeah. And that Puerto Rico, obviously a very huge hotspot. I only just noticed this because I'm looking at it now, but there's a very deep trench just off there. I have no clue what it's called.
There.
But yeah, you can see the deep trench that's off there.
Yeah, and this looks pretty deep too. But yeah, this is super deep.
Yeah,
indicated by colors.
Actually, is that the Marianas? It's the right linguistic area.
Yeah, is it? I'm not sure where the Mariana. I forget where it is.
Me neither. I'm terrible at geography.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point is, a weird 4chan whistleblower saying there's a massive processing plant / UFO sitting underneath the water, making UAPs to spec, and then also along with that, a bunch of military USO encounters.
Yep. Yeah. Yes, it's
So what's going on down there?
What's going on down there? And another thing that probably one of the most interesting comments I got from the watching the Netflix series. I forget the guy's name. I think it was in the second episode. A guy from NASA. I can't even remember what his job was, but he became a researcher into the UFO field. And he made comments about the oceans, and if you were coming from another part of the universe or the galaxy, ocean would be the best place. If you were jumping from planet to planet, the ocean would be the most stable environment.
Yeah.
If you were doing that, because it wouldn't be as volatile. Like the differences in atmosphere would be a lot greater to differences within the oceans.
Yeah.
So it would be more easy to adapt to life in different oceans on different planets.
Yeah.
So that I thought that was really interesting and made a lot of sense. That there's more and more evidence and reports and people talking about UFOs coming out of water, in particular.
Well, there's always been that
oceans.
transmedium element to it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, are they in the Bermuda Triangle? I think they might be. That we need more Bermuda Triangle. We need Bermuda Triangle experts back working on this.
So let's send Avi to the Bermuda Triangle. I mean, he went out into the ocean once before. Avi, get out there.
Get out.
If people don't know who I'm talking about, Avi.
Get one of those. Get one of those subs. Those little subs.
The James Cameron subs.
Yeah, or maybe the ones that don't implode.
No. That's why you want the good James Cameron ones, not the crappy whoever invented the other ones.
I forget.
But no, look, I mean, and that's why I love some of these scientists, Avi Loeb and Gary Nolan. They're getting after it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Avi's got the Galileo project. Turn him loose on the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah.
Elon, go fund Avi to the tune of $10 million to go look into the Bermuda Triangle. Why not?
Yeah.
You don't care. It's $10 million. Go do it, man.
Where is Elon on this subject? Where is he really?
He's with some things, I think he's got his head in the clouds, like chemical rockets to Mars. Man, you can't do that. But it would not surprise me if he knows more than that. So who knows?
Yeah, it sort of baffles me that he doesn't really seem interested. I don't know. He just doesn't seem interested. I get the impression like I've got better things to do than worry about.
But he could quite easily be, which is the odd thing. And he like all his sub interests are things that would benefit from actually taking an interest in this, but he doesn't, and he isn't. That's weird.
Yeah.
Who knows? So, maybe he's controlled opposition. Maybe he's just a freakish billionaire. Who knows?
Yeah, a bit of both.
Both.
Yeah.
It's always a bit of both.
So yeah, it looks like they're coming from the ocean. Good place to hide, and it makes sense.
Well, yeah, as you said, I really like. I'm very interested in that point that you made, where it is more of a stable environment to run operations from, rather than an atmosphere than underneath a liquid ocean. It's yeah, I think there's definitely something to be said for that.
Yeah. Did we have anything more to look at or talk about in regards to USOs?
Bermuda Triangle, I think that was mainly across it. I really just wanted to point out that it, and I came across 3 or 4 congruent things. I was like, well, that's a little bit interesting. Why is it we're seeing USOs in a place that is notorious for things going missing, notorious for electromagnetic anomalies, and then on top of that, we get this 4chan leak about there's something hanging out, something big hanging out in the Bermuda Triangle. I mean,
Yeah.
look, it explains it all a little too easily. Maybe it's just, like I said, good story, but definitely worth a look into.
Yeah.
Like I said, let's send Arvi out there. Let's get out there,
Yeah.
Arvi. I'll give you some
Go
money.
on. Yeah. Yeah. We'll fund it. Beyond Disclosure funding Arvi Loeb.
Arvi Loeb.
Give us a call, Arvi. Give
Yep.
us an interview,
Straight
and
up.
you'll get your
And then,
money.
but we'll start the GoFundMe or the Kickstarter or whatever we need to do.
Yep. Excellent.
All right.
Do you want to have a look at some comments?
Let's do it.
Harry Bridges, he's put in a few comments, and he put in another one about Wish Wilson. He's a Green senator.
Oh, okay.
So maybe we can start looking into Wish Wilson and write him some letters.
Yeah.
Get him on the podcast.
As Ross has said, many people have said, and I will back Ross on this, literal letter writing campaigns actually work with members of parliament. I don't know if our viewers know, but I've worked at some level in a government position before. And those kind of things do work. You might not think your voice is heard, but if you have a local member, especially a local member, but if you have a minister in Australia, it's a Westminster system. If you have a minister who is in direct regards to what you do, if that minister's office receives more than 50 letters a week on a specific topic, they're taking notice.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly, they're taking notice. On a state level, 100%. On a federal level, almost like 99%. It doesn't take much to get the staff of a minister of a portfolio to take notice of something.
Yeah.
50 to 100 letters in a week is all it would take. And I've been a part of it. I've seen a campaign that it was literally just a form email of about, I don't know, what's a ream of paper? 300 pages? 500 pages? 2 or 3 reams of paper. We took notice, and they will take notice, and let's look into that, man, because we need to know people who need to contact.
And that's sort of the thing we wanted to try and do with the channel. So we need to work on that and getting some letters, getting people that are going to watch this video to get involved. And I don't think it matters where they are in the world either.
No.
Yep. Every letter would count. So we'll look into that, and maybe we'll make a plan to bring up in the next video on what we're going to do. We'll look into it. We'll have a look into Wish Wilson. Thanks, Harry Bridges.
Yeah. Thanks, Harry,
for leading us down that path. Joe Rogan's beard is coming along nicely.
Well, yeah, he's got a way to go. I think, Corey, you're doing pretty well, man.
Yeah.
It's good to see you rocking that beard.
Well, yeah, yeah. Sometimes you just got to let it grow. So,
you're on the right coast.
Changing it up.
Don't do it. You look 12 when you shave.
Yeah, when you're getting over 40, you sort of almost want to look 12. Maybe not 12, but any younger,
dude, you
is good.
Fantastic. Don't worry.
Oh, you're looking all right yourself, Lam.
Thanks.
No other interesting comments. Harry chimed in a few times. What did Scape VFX say? If they disclose ET and crash retrievals, they would also have to admit to lying and deceiving the public for decades. Yeah, sort of what we were talking about before. You know,
I think it's Ross really talked about this actually. Ross hit on this, and I'm loath to agree. Like I don't want to agree, but I have to agree that there needs to be an amnesty.
yeah,
Because some pretty major crimes have been committed,
yeah,
and that if they're going to really just all they would always do is try and protect themselves, because who wants to go to jail over? I can see the logic.
mm,
If we want truth, I think we do need to give a certain amnesty.
yeah, yeah,
Look,
absolutely.
I would want justice. I would absolutely want justice, because I'm sure there's been some. In fact, I know there's been some shady dealings. I mean, you look at Richard Doty. That whole thing was atrocious. Basically, helped a guy kill himself. Controversial, allegedly, whatever you want to say. But there's been a lot of shady stuff go on for a long time.
Yep.
And the other thing that might be though is if you admit and if you give amnesty to shady stuff in this realm, what might come out with like not anything to do with UAP, but tangential realms. So we know about MK Ultra, but what about some of the darkest? Maybe there's some darker stuff out of MK Ultra that, with this stuff, you kind of have to go, ooh, like there might be some tangential thing going on there.
Yeah, yeah, which makes it even harder to, yeah.
Oh God, and then, well, what if it's you got to just try and explain interdimensionals to everyday Joe?
Mm.
How are you going to take that? How is that going to happen?
And and how do we explain it if maybe we don't really even know how to explain it? Maybe we don't understand it yet.
Yeah, all we've got is this vague sense of it. And it's like, oh, there's beings that you can't see that are sitting right next to you and interacting with you in ways you don't understand for the last 2,000 years.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, we're going to be fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I think that's maybe where, if because that is likely true, just what you said, and I've heard someone tell me that personally themselves, that they knew that that's what happens. And I heard George Knapp say it too recently in an interview, that his understanding was they could just they're right here, they can come in and out whenever they want and do whatever they want. So which is, if you have to explain that to people as part of the disclosure, yeah, I can understand why the fuck they don't want to. They're like, this is too much. Like, people are not gonna like this.
Yeah. But and in fact, you what you were saying, just watch the end of the Jesse Michaels video, because he brings up one of my favorite things, which is Flatland, which is
does he? Yep.
Yeah, he actually brings it up, and it's like, okay, we're a 3-dimensional being looking into a 2-dimensional world, and you can see the whole thing a 4-dimensional being. That's where I think it is. That's where I think this dimensional thing will come into play, and like they can come and go as they please. Of course they can, because if we want to insert ourselves into a 2-dimensional world, we're looking at the piece of paper that is a 2-dimensional world. We can do whatever we want. You can put your finger there. You could be anywhere you want. You can tear the page. You can do whatever you want. That's analogous to 4 to 3. 3 to 2 is I assume the same as 4 to 3.
That there was actually a quote in the Jesse Michaels where I got up to, I think Townsend Brown quote came up on the screen, and it was something about fish. I don't have it, so I'm gonna butcher it. Fish in the ocean, and we are the fish, and the hulls moving across the surface of the UFOs. Like
the UFOs, yeah.
We can see them going past, but
we have no clue what they are.
No clue what they are, what they're doing. They're just there. They appear from time to time and go past.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's maybe there's just so many. I think there's so many levels to
I'm,
the story too. I think there's maybe some palatable stuff that there's some palatable, maybe there's entities or NHIs that we're interacting with and that information is palatable, but there's a whole spectrum of different intelligences that we've been interacting with or that are coming here that we're aware of. And at the other end of the spectrum, it's really weird and dark. And
and I think it's almost certainly, people say, oh, what is it, time travelers, or is it interdimensionals, or is it extraterrestrials, or is it this, or is it that? Yes, it's all of those things. It's almost always invariably, if you're asking, is it A or is it B? It's A and B. It's always A and B. It's definitely interdimensionals, because that explains a lot of it. There's probably extraterrestrials involved. There's the new one that I've heard recently, crypto-terrestrials, that have been here the whole time. Wouldn't surprise like longer than 1,000 years, let's say 10,000 years, and they've just remained hidden. It's not difficult to conceptualize.
Well, maybe they evolved here.
Maybe that's
originally,
the timeline.
and
hey, look,
maybe
human time is done. This is our planet. You're out.
Yeah, maybe they seeded all life here. Everything.
Who knows? Yeah.
Maybe they came here and went, oh, this rock's developing nicely. It's going to have all the requirements in the next 100,000 years. So let's just start building here.
Hey, look, maybe they were subject to the same catastrophic cycle that we may be subject to. The whole planet gets wiped out. They evacuated underground, and they've been living down there for thousands of years, and we just keep coming and going over the last 100,000 years of the sun misbehaving and fucking wiping us off the face of the planet.
What about the ideas of the different stages of a civilization? There's a scale.
And you're talking about the ancient civilizations, obviously, the proposed advanced ancient civilizations.
No, I'm talking about at some point when you get to, is it a level 4?
The Kardashev scale.
Yeah, that might be it.
Level we're a level we're a level 0.8, and a level 1 utilizes the energy. So there's the Kardashev scale.
So and what's the highest level on that scale? Do you remember?
I mean that you can utilize the energy of a whole galaxy. Maybe the whole universe, I would assume, would be the top one.
Yeah. So how do we know that we're not the result of someone that's that advanced as well?
Because personally, I think it doesn't go that way. It doesn't go a hard materialistic, scientific, technological progression like that, because that is very much about a technological progression, i.e. using the amount of energy from the sun that you're a part of in your solar system. That's your level 1. I don't think it's actually necessarily all about that. I think there's the interdimensional theory. I think there's probably a spiritual, or what we might conceptualize as a spiritual element to that. I think it kind of probably plays out differently to the purely physical spectrum of it.
Oh well, there's there's too many unknowns, and it is hard when you start digging into it like this. You do sort of do come to understand that this really could be difficult. And I think no matter, I think they're going to have to drip feed this. We're going to get these whistleblowers coming forward, and I think something's going to come from that. And we're going to, I don't think they're going to tell us everything. They can't.
No,
I don't think. Not for a long time. I think they're going to start the ball
not
rolling.
Intentionally. It could happen accidentally. It could. I think it actually could. Or not accidentally, but maybe intentionally from the other side.
I think there's going to be some type of admission somehow, and then it's going to be a slow ball rolling for the next 50 to 100 years. Like,
Yeah.
of, okay, it's true, but there's so much we don't know. We can't tell you. What about abductions? We don't know.
Yeah.
Like, where
And I think that will be the catch cry after, like, I think there will be a pivotal moment within the next 10 years. And after that pivotal moment, it'll be a lot of what you're saying. It's like, oh, we don't know. When I don't necessarily believe that they don't know, I think they probably know a lot more than they're letting on. And even if they do let us know what they know, they won't let us know everything that they know, for reasons that we've just discussed. But yeah, I think in the next 10 years, within the next 25 years, certainly things will come to light.
12 months.
Oh, yeah. Look, I was being extremely conservative estimate of 25 years for something broader as far as non-materialism. But yeah, the UAP reality is going to change within the next 24 months, undoubtedly.
Yeah, I think 24 months to maybe 36 to get some. Yeah, the whole position of world governments.
Yeah,
to
well,
start.
things are going to need to be restructured. That's probably one thing that they're clashing up against at the moment, because as soon as you admit to, okay, crash retrieval, okay, we've got these things, okay, new power source, which is free energy for everyone forever. How can you imagine trying? We talked about that. How can you imagine trying to restructure society?
Yeah. And maybe that is part of the plan. Now, we talked about this last episode, and is this a part of the
energy? And it's
energy
probably one
plan?
of the most important parts. And I hate, like, Stephen Greer's had his name plastered up and down, and think of him what you will. But one of the things he's always gone on about is it's the petrodollar. So once we replace the petrodollar with something that costs nothing, how does society work? How do banking regimes work? How do business regimes work? If you can transport something from one side of your country to the other side of the country in 2 seconds for the cost of 2 cents, it completely changes commerce in every regard.
Yep. Oh, well.
Anyway.
Yeah. We've been going for over an hour, so maybe we should tie it up.
Yep. Wrap it together. Is there anything else that we wanted to put a pin on? The Obama Betty and Barney Hill thing's coming up.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out for that.
Quickly mention that. Yeah, you told me this, and I had a look, and it's true. President Obama is making
former President Obama
is making a movie on Betty and Barney Hill abduction.
And they were the first majorly recorded abduction case. What was I want to say about in the 50s or the 60s? When were they? Something around there.
I feel like it was around the 50s, 60s. Yeah. So that I find that's interesting, because he's a guy that's changed his tune over the years when talking about it.
He's always toyed with the idea as well in a lot of his interviews. So.
And we had some other things that we were going to talk about, but we've gone a long time, so I think we'll save them for next time. Yeah.
Yes, we did actually forget to mention the Gary McKinnon stuff with the NASA hack. But we'll get into that next time.
Let's dig into that one next time. Yeah.
And look, I'm sure by that time there'll be a bunch more stuff happening. There's always political stuff happening, which is cool. We're definitely going to want to look into the Wish Wilson, the Green Senator.
Yeah,
that's very cool, and I actually really want to dig into that next episode. So,
yep,
let's do some local stuff.
Yep,
cool, man.
Let's tie it up. Thanks anyone that tagged along, and add comment, leave a like on the video, etc. Really,
we'll definitely look at it afterwards, and yeah, if you got some other stuff, we'll bring it up next week. Oh, not
Yep.
next week. So we do fortnitly, basically.
Every 2 weeks. Every 2
But we
weeks.
might
We'll
do
be
some
back in
short
2
videos.
weeks.
We might do
Yep.
some independent short videos in between as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of these days.
All right. Awesome. Thanks,
All right,
Lem.
cool, man. No worries, dude. I'll see you soon.
See you. See you, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.